today I'm going to show you a rigging method that I'm not too sure if I've actually shown in this channel. But what we're going to do is we are going to rig this 200-gram HOTS drift tune. This is literally one of my favorite fast jigs and something I gravitate towards when the fishing is kind of difficult and I want a fast jig. So, very high quality. This is from HOTS, Japan. And today, what I'm gonna do is show you a rigging method that takes full advantage of the action of this jig. Now, you can rig this a traditional way, but in a little meeting I had with Mr. Minami, he's the CEO of HOTS and a very, very good friend of mine. We discussed how to actually kind of work this as a slow jig, and this is the method. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is one of the most widely copied jigs as well, so this thing kind of applies to that, especially for you guys in the States that don't like buying the originals. This is something that you could use. Alright, however, I have to tell you that this is something that you can't bend. So the metal on this compared to the Chinese ones, very different, and you can kind of use this over and over and over again. But that's it. Anyway, so I'm just going to be using one single big hook for this, and the sizing, just so you can see, is over to where it sits, it will stick out. Okay? That's how I size according to like fast jigs and stuff. Now the cord we're gonna be using is the Varivas SS, and this is number 80. A lot of people ask me how I splice this, and the answer remains the same. Over the years, I've been splicing this. In fact, I might be the first one to ever splice this, and the answer remains the same. With great difficulty. That's how you splice this. You break a lot of these, and it takes a lot of time, so you have to go really slow and be very, very patient. The very, very biggest difference, and I think this is one of the most asked questions: can you use a swivel when you're rigging jigs? And this is literally how I do it. Okay. Okay, so I have to say that this is, of course, a ball bearing swivel. Now, if you use a crane swivel, such as this one right here, it will have like a very different effect. And when you're using a solid ring, it will have a different effect. Now, there's a guy on YouTube that says that there's no difference between the three, and he shows you like the jigs hanging in the air, and then he says like, see. Kind of a very special person as far as brain function is concerned, because in the water, of course, there is resistance, which you don't find in the air. So yeah, swivels do have an effect. They actually give your jigs a bit more freedom, which means that these jigs will actually roll more. The most of the roll that you find almost spinning really is with the ball bearing swivel, a brand new one. Okay, and then as salt gets in and it kind of degrades, especially if you don't wash them, they slow down. Now, for these guys right here, the crane swivels, what happens is that they will give a little bit more resistance than the ball bearing ones, and it kind of the action gets kind of choked. Okay, and what that means is that the action on this is very erratic. This is erratic. And then on the solid rings, like this one here, it stops it. Okay, so you get 3 different actions out of this. It could be that for this, it just makes it wobble side to side. This one will give it more of a wobble, while this one does it really fast. Considering that these, of course, are new. The older they get, and then the more resistance you get from the swivel, then yeah, the action gets changed. I think the biggest takeaway for this, especially with the swivels, is the fact that especially for these ball bearing swivels, you can actually get away with smaller sizes as opposed to the crane swivels because these guys are stronger. Okay, but again, treat these things as disposable. Now for this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the ball bearing swivel, and what it has is basically 2 solid rings. You have one here and you have one here, so you can treat this one as your regular solid ring, while this one you could treat as another solid ring where you can put your line or leader on. Leader, not line. Okay, so very straightforward. In Asia, you will actually find different solid rings. Let me check here. Okay, here's one. So we have like a very big oval, which is used over at Asia, and then there's also ones that look like an 8, and those are specifically for fast jigging, and it separates your chord and your leader. And what that does, of course, is keep things separate so that they don't bump into each other, or some accidents happen, like your jig actually hitting your knot and degrading it. So with a ball bearing swivel, a lot of things kind of happen. For one, the knot and the splice are in 2 different areas and they don't meet, and your jig freely moves. Whereas obviously with the big oval solid ring and the number 8 solid ring, what happens is that it has the same action. As far as action is concerned, it has the same action as the solid ring. So you get a bit of extra with swivels. I don't really use this a lot, okay? But this is especially useful when the current is dead. It's dead, okay? If the current is dead, you're dropping down and you want this to have a bit of action, then this is the time when you use them, okay? Now, if you're new to this channel, by the way, this channel talks about the hows and whys of fishing. We cover everything from big game, ultralight, everything in the middle, including fly fishing. And today, I'm showing you a swivel rig for jigs such as this Drift Tune 200. Now, this jig, why this jig? This jig actually is made to flutter. For jigs that are sliding, it would be a disadvantage to put a swivel on because they're made to slide. They're not made to roll. This is actually made to flutter and roll. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're putting this together. The Varivas SS is a hollow braid with a core, and we are taking off the core. Now, normally what happens is you soak this in water so that it's easy to work with. So I didn't do that. And what we're gonna do here is literally just go through the motions of splicing it. Okay, this will take time. So what I'll do is I'll do this offline, off camera, and then we'll be back when we have spliced it. But what happens is that we will put this here, okay, on the bottom. Now, how to see if this is the bottom or not? Okay, so the tapered end, always goes towards the hook. When you're trolling, this is the side. The pointed end points towards the lure. Okay, so nothing different. We're gonna do that with this as well. Okay, as you can see, even my shirt right here, it's this thing is so difficult to work with. Anyway, we got it done. This is it right here. As you can see, swivel. Okay, and now all that's left is to actually attach it to the hook, and this is kind of pretty straightforward when it comes to this. Okay, again, you could actually put a knot here if you want. I think since this is a fast jig, one of the things, and you know, you have the swivel there, one of the things that you need to really think about is the final position of the hook. And you also have to consider the fact that the swivel is actually kind of long, and your line's not going to be your line's not going to be as close to the jig normally because of the swivel. So it kind of creates an optical illusion. You have to kind of really look at that, okay, and then consider that when you're putting this together. Fast jigs, obviously, hook point out. There we go. So that's it, and it should be there, right there. Should sit like that. Realistically speaking, this will probably like sit on the side right there, but when you're working this, what you want is for the hook to actually really be prominent. Now, we are using this thread that Wael got from Japan. Okay, now first thing is that we have to really pull this tight. We'll use our hook pulling tool. Okay, then we pull tight that way. Okay, and then we take our flat nose pliers right here, and then pull this tight as well. Grip really hard, and be very, very careful with this. Okay. So what happened there is that we compressed the knot. Then we will need super glue for this. Okay, right there, and just pull this again so that it's as snug as possible. There we go. And then we wrap. Now at this point, if you are using like the shrink wraps, you can pretty much just put some glue here, shrink wrap it, and that's that. I don't like using shrink wrap, so I actually started using epoxy on my slow jigs because I did not like the or sorry, I started using epoxy to finish my assist hooks, not slow jigs, my assist hooks back in the day, because I did not like putting the what's this, the shrink wrap or shrink tubes on my assist hooks. I always thought they were ugly, you know, and kind of a lazy way of doing things. So I kind of stuck with the epoxy for a long time until today, actually. And then super glue just made everything more convenient, especially with the accelerants. When you're doing things lightweight, very, very useful. So this type of wrap, it's nylon, and it's not braid, what I'm used to using, but this makes the glue kind of makes the glue an integral part. Now, I have to say that this thing is actually kind of overkill, because this nut will provide the support that it needs, and that actually kind of holds it. That's it. It's not it's not something that that would slip. So basically, this whole wrapping thing is just to make it look pretty. Okay, so you can see it right there. What I do then is take a lighter, not a blue flame, just a regular lighter, and take off the fluff, because there is fluff there. It's something just because of the material it does that. Okay, so now that there's no fluffiness, there's still a bit there. It doesn't take much. Just, run the lighter flame over, and the fluff goes out. Burns out the fluff. If you do it too much, what happens is that it will actually it'll burn through. Now, just a tad of the glue. I didn't zoom you guys in, because you know what? I've already done so many videos doing that, but what I wanted you guys to see is the whole process. So you can see the process. Okay, as you can see here, we're actually just spreading the super glue. And at this point, what's important is you really have to make sure that the glue is spread out and it covers all of the wraps. And here's another thing that I do. I take the glue and then I push it towards the shank. And what that does, it gives you a very clean transition from the wraps to the shank. Now, what I do also is I put a bit more glue, just so I am sure that the wraps are fully saturated with the glue. It has nothing to do with aesthetics, but I want to make sure that the wraps, the shank, and the glue become one single unit. And what that does is making it a very, very solid connection. So the glue kind of fuses everything. And you'll know this when you actually try to break it apart. Not gonna be easy. Okay, so just make sure it's clean, tidy, and there's no wrap showing. The glue is totally encapsulating the wraps, and it's fully saturated. I don't recommend gluing the knot, but it's okay to actually get in contact with it because that knot moves, it contracts. And if there's glue there, what happens is that it cracks. So that's why you tighten it as much as you can, and then that's it. Now, see, I didn't zap it with the accelerant yet. Okay, yet. I want the glue to really saturate, so I'll give it a few seconds, about a minute or two at the most, maybe, and then hit it with the accelerant on all sides, just to make sure that each side is covered. Okay, this thing stinks. Okay, and then it should be dry to the touch. Clean it up a bit like so, and you will see that it looks so good. Okay, now a step that I don't show as often as I should. Okay, but each and every single time I tie an assist hook, I sharpen it. Okay, and I have a video of that in the channel. A lot of people don't pay attention to this, so you know what? I'm going to actually show this process before I keep this or rig it and set it aside. So I sharpen the hook. Depend on the hook. This is a needle point, of course, so you can sharpen it. If it's a knife edge, then no, you won't be able to sharpen it. It's already factory sharpened. But for needle point hooks, sharpen it because you'll need it. Okay. The more you sharpen the hook, the more you would hook fish with very little effort. So you'll use less force. Sometimes the force of the strike of the fish is more than enough to get a purchase. So the aim is to set the hook on the fish automatically. And the key to that is a very, very sharp point. So I'm sharpening with a number 400. And then I'll go to the number 600. I know I should be showing this actually in rigging videos, but this process kind of takes time. I don't know where I got injured, but I'm actually have blood going out of this knuckle. I didn't even feel, but I think it has something to do with the hooks, the hook eye slipping, or while I was handling it. So number 600, like so. Okay, and then I have another one here that's very fine. I'm not too sure what the number is, but probably 1,000. So I'm just going to make sure that the point is polished. Same here. See, this is difficult to show when you're zoomed in, but actually kind of easy when you're wide angle. Okay. Alright, and then this side is ultra fine, which is good for polishing. So you're taking off friction and the hook just slides in. Much like guys now with the girls' DMs, they just slide in. All right, doesn't take much because it's diamond. Okay, they're cheap now, but this thing is, see that? It's sticky sharp, sticky sharp. Now let's rig this sucker. If you don't know this, okay, this is the Cultiva split ring pliers, and this is different because they don't have a nib. They don't have a nib. Okay, see, it actually kind of grips this right here, and it opens, so it doesn't damage this the split ring. Okay, now this split ring is a load bearing split ring. You could get away with a cheaper split ring here because it just needs to hold the jig. It doesn't need force. It doesn't need to bear the weight of the fish. Okay, so you can see there, that is it. The hook is in perfect position and the jig is free to move. But see, the thing is, wherever the jig moves, the solid ring moves as well with it. And then look at the hook. See, it also moves. But that is a very good rigging for the HOTS drift tune. This one has shells on one side and reflector paper, laser tape the other. But that is a one beautiful jig right there, and boom, that's it. So you can see that it moves freely. You can't get that range of motion with a solid ring. So see, if I just say hold the solid ring, you can see that it has a, see, kind of a limit to where it moves, whereas with this one it just moves freely. So there is a difference, especially when water pressure is involved. But there we go, that's the hot drift tune rigged so that it moves like a slow jig for very difficult fishing conditions. When there is dead current, this thing will catch you fish. Alrighty, that's it. There's a chunk of this video that I need to cut, but yeah, this is it for this video. If you learned something, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet and you want to learn more, click on the subscribe button, share it with your friends so that they learn with you. Don't be a dick, share. Alright, sharing is caring. And if you want to support me and this channel, click on the join button. That is it for this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope this rigging will actually catch you more fish. Alrighty, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed. That's a pretty jig right there.